So we're going to hope. But Eric, on the other hand, the HOA is $368 a month.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, and so when somebody goes, they look at the price, they go, yay. And then they're like, oh, but we have to have X number of dollars more.
Welcome to Real Siblings, It Ain't Easy, a real estate podcast with the goal to educate, inform, and save their listeners time as they navigate the market and properties in their neighborhoods. Get ready to join real-life siblings and professional real estate advisors, Donna Reed and Eric Seemann, as they discuss how it may be simple, but it ain't always easy.
Every time I think about the places I have known, I realize that times have changed. So I'll do what I can to make this house into a home. Yeah, yeah.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Real Siblings, It Ain't Easy. This real estate podcast is altogether unique, unconventional, unusual, and seriously, like the hosts, it just ain't typical. We may not know how you found us, but we are thrilled to have you, and we hope you decide to join our growing community. And by that, we are currently in the top 50% of podcasts globally based on the number of downloads in the first 7 days. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being part of the download community. We're going to work to get that up this next year. This podcast blends real estate together with lifestyle as we work to communicate, educate, connect, and entertain with our listeners. Because this is episode 40, Markets on the 8, we wanted to lead off with the fact of, instead of information about myself or Donna, at the end of December, based on the number of units sold for 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom houses in Tucson, Arizona, multiple listing service, the median home price was $330,000. Here in San Antonio, the median home price was $310,000. We are going to take this conversation, which I guarantee is going to go other directions, and discuss the Markets on the 8, episode 5, or Numero Cinco.
That's a whole lot, Eric, for me to just wrap my brain around. But I think I said that when we recorded our last one, too. So maybe.
I think so, too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still going to say it's painkillers.
That could be. Let's blame it on that. Yeah. I might do that for a while. No. Eric, we talked a little bit about, what's been happening in the market, because clearly when we have conversations, we talk real estate, whether we're on a podcast or not, And in the last episode, we talked about the risks and the rewards, kind of a lot of risks of remodeling, doing, the unseen things that you have to do when you buy a home. But at the end of the day, the multiple listing system puts them all together, and we still come up with averages. And that is how people buying and selling, and especially those repairing, decide what they will pay in order to make a profit.
Make a profit, or make it profitable if they intend to buy, hold, and rent.
Correct. So what does that look like for them? For me, I went back and I just kind of looked at the last 3 months. And if you're watching this, I just love the chalkboard behind me because it feels like my trig class or something in my senior year in high school.
Who taught your trig class?
Clarence Schieffer.
Mine too. Amazing.
Amazing.
There's a future episode talking about teachers in schools that I have in the production schedule for this year.
Ooh.
That's why I had to ask that question.
That'll be fun. So I went back and I did 3 months for about, all of 2023, I would say. We have been saying that the number of listings on the market isn't normal. And then in Tucson, we've been talking about, okay, so what even is normal? Is there a new normal? Is a 6-month supply even something to think about anymore, right? Because we haven't had a 6-month supply of houses for ages.
Right.
And so I started out with part of that. And the months of supply in October, we had 2.5 months supply. In November, we had a 2.5 month supply. And in December, we had a 2.3. So we were just ever so slightly less, which is pretty typical through the holidays, that people often will say, I'm not going to list it over Christmas or whatever. And then we'll just do it in January because there's going to be new MLS numbers and And in Arizona, we pick up, our business picks up because of winter visitors coming. So is that one of the numbers? Do you know what your supply was? I know you did just December.
Yeah, I looked just at December, but then I currently looked at what we have on the market for 3.2s.
Okay.
And again, we're using 3.2s because, my goodness, the number of conversations that you have with clients, it's, what do I need? Well, I need at least 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms.
Right.
It's the number.
Yeah.
Regardless of square footage.
Right.
You may have smaller secondary and third bedrooms, but as long as it had those bedrooms, we were going to be okay.
Right.
So we have 11,377 houses as of yesterday when I pulled this information
on the market.
On hand.
Wow.
Currently active listings in one category or another. And we are currently at a point where under contract for this month, because I did check that too, we have just about 2,300 under contract, which is about 230 more than we closed in the month of December.
Okay, wait a minute. So under contract, they might have gone under contract in December. It isn't like all of a sudden 200.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. I'm selling land right now, so I don't have rooms under contract. I have acres under contract.
Right. Okay.
But it didn't give me the monthly calculation on the way I ran my reports. I should have done that number. If you've got the calculator out, 11,377 divided by 2,300. We're at 6 months.
11,377 divided by 2,300?
Yeah. We're right at that 6 months.
Yeah, 4.9. So five month. Yeah.
And that's about as bad. That is certainly what is considered to be the most balanced market I've had since I got my license.
And Eric, that's fascinating for me because we live in what I believe we've discussed in the past. Our population is 1 million, 1.1 million, and then we go to like 2 million in the winter. Yours is comparable, isn't it? San Antonio, roughly the same number?
No, we're over 2 million.
Okay. And in your MLS then, the region that you're doing is going to be just taking more.
There's different ways we can select areas in the MLS. And I just clicked the button that said select all. Okay. So some of these are, as we've discussed in previous episodes, towns that are as far as 90 miles away from downtown San Antonio and the Board of Realtors. Yeah. So it's broad. If it's a 3.2, I've got those houses, the 4 of them that sold that were listed all the way out in Uvalde or as far north as New Braunfels.
How far is New Braunfels from downtown?
New Braunfels from downtown, officially, I think it's probably 35 miles, but... Okay.
4 hours.
Yeah, depending on traffic. And trust me, that is one of the worst stretches of highway in the United States is Interstate 35 between San Antonio and Austin. And New Braunfels is right along that corridor.
Isn't that why if I'm coming from Austin, you have me get off on is it 180 or 280 or something, and you have me...
281. And come down. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Come in a different route. But now one of my friends is an agent in Dripping Springs, and that is an area. Would she be part of the San Antonio MLS or the Austin?
No, Dripping Springs, she's probably going to be part of Austin. She may do Four Rivers, which is New Braunfels MLS.
Oh, they have their own MLS.
They have their own, but it's one of those it's primary to them. Yeah. But it really is still secondary. Because anybody who lists in Four Rivers, if it's far enough north, it's going to also list in Austin. If it's far enough south, it's going to also list in San Antonio. It's not going to be exclusive to Four. I've run into very, very few listings that were just strictly Four Rivers MLS. Yeah. You just miss people if you do it that way.
So because you and I both talked about 3.2s being the most common, it's also, I got to say that in the last year, more 4.2s have also come up because sometimes both parents are working from home now. So what used to be a primary bedroom and then 2 other bedrooms, now it's like a primary bedroom, 2 other bedrooms, and at least another space for an office.
An office, someplace that's going to use it. Yep. Yeah. I've got somebody who's looking at a condo right now. And it is, I need at least one bedroom and an office or a second bedroom.
Yeah. Yeah.
For working from home. Yep.
So that has definitely changed.
So in your numbers, did you get a chance to look at, on my report, the lowest priced house, even though we said our median in that opening section was 310,000, our lowest price 3.2, I didn't look it up to see what the pictures look like, $43,000. Okay,
I would say that's a fixer-upper. And then we can flash back to the last episode. But you know what? I did not look at that. However, I will tell you that I'm part of a referral group network, and I got sent a referral the other day that wanted a condo, 2-bed, 2-bath, definitely under 100,000. And I have to tell you, to me, automatically, I go, not a good neighborhood. I mean, I know I'm not supposed to, but like, do you know what you can get in the city of Tucson for less than 100,000 if you're way out of town, or, things like that? And is it going to be a co-op, or is it going to be something where you have part ownership in things? So honestly, I didn't have time to go look, but the one that I'm doing right now, we're going to list for about 185, and it's 1,014 square feet in a really good zip code. There's hardly anything on this side of town where I live under 200,000. So we're going to hope. But Eric, on the other hand, the HOA is $368 a month.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, and so when somebody goes, they look at the price, they go, yay. And then they're like, oh, but we have to have X number of dollars more, so.
Yeah. And it is hard. We're not supposed to direct or make those decisions. We don't want to be considered to be steering and moving somebody around. But in the condos that I'm looking at right now, just that 2-bedroom.
Yeah.
There's one that's for sale, $45,000. And I took one look at it, and it's like, I've shown this neighborhood before. I know it. It's like not going to be worth it. I was surprised at that, because this is has a name which would indicate it was French. And it's a courtyard, and the center courtyard is the common area and the swimming pool. As many years as I've shown, that swimming pool has been green. And even in one of the MLS pictures, currently, it's got the green pool.
Wow.
And one of the door jambs that I remember seeing one time was a broken cinder block, which was propped up to hold the door open to get into the common hallway to get into the units. And I'm sorry, that's difficult to show. It's what some people can afford, but your heart is like, please don't let this be what you buy. Yeah. It is. So here's the difference. The same report that I printed out that I said the lowest cost 3.2.
Yeah.
The highest cost 3.2. $1,837,000. So $1,800,000 difference, essentially, between the lowest and the highest priced 3.2 bedroom is.
And we wind up at 310 or 330 for.
And we end up and you wonder why we can wind up at 310 as the median.
Yeah. Where is, did you look to see where that 1.8 was?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not. I was pulling the numbers fast enough, and I didn't go into the map. And when you're pulling numbers that big, our MLS limits the number of houses that'll show to us. So trying to find it when you've got over 2,000 units, that's going to be 4 different reports.
Yeah.
That allows you to access it, and can I see more and flip it over and that sort of thing. The other part about the market and the market price is the interest rate.
So all the predictions that I hear, all the reports we started getting, towards the end of the year, the beginning of the year, is that we expect the Fed to lower some of the rates, and we expect the rates to go down a little bit. I don't expect it to ever get back to the 2.85 or the 3.5 or whatever, but maybe into the 5.5, range. And then we go back to the same thing that we went through before, where now there's competition for those homes that haven't sold because days on market have been longer. And so the balance, so now, yep, your interest rate's better, but now you're going to pay 10 or 15 or 20,000 more, whatever it is. for the same property. It's a crazy, crazy cycle, you know?
It is. And as I'm looking at it, and I looked at some of the numbers, and of course you hear it and it's like, well, what does that mean to us from an interest rate standpoint? So we started out, according to what I saw, national average January of 2023 was like 6.63. And we ended up December at 6.69. So only about 0.3% on the national average for the interest rate. Now, during that time, it went as high as 7.8. And February was the low at just about 6.1.
Interesting.
So there was the fluctuation in there. And yes, right now I'm seeing the next 3-month prediction is taking us continuing in a downward trend where we're going to be somewhere right around that 6%.
Yeah.
Over the next 3 months.
Which mentally, when anything comes down, even if it's 3% more than a couple of years ago, it looks better, it feels better. And we know that buyers who have been, deciding, well, we'll get off the market.
Maybe I should wait.
Yeah. Yep. And now they're going to go like, oh, it's come down. May not go any further. Right. I mean, I remember thinking that when I went below 10%, I never thought we'd get single digits. And then,
well, and I thought in the reports as I was looking at this and a couple of different websites, you look at different sources, they're now using what I'll call 50-year average. For the longest time, it's like, it's a 30-year, here's the 30-year average. Well, for whatever reason, this report went all the way back to 71.
Wow.
And the average is about 7.1%. So if we're in the sixes, we're below
the average.
The average. It's like, well, if we go back 500 years, no.
Yeah. That was when they
How far back can we go to make that average?
I think they just spit and shook hands then. I don't think there was any. All right. So, Eric, did you look at days on market for you?
Yes.
I'm going to tell you.
But it breaks it down by price point. It didn't give me the total. I guess the total average was about 84 days.
So I got to tell you, I'm fascinated by the differences. So for me, days on market, October was 14. November was 17, December was 20. So, and those are averages again, because certainly there were sellers who were still looking at my neighbors sold for blah, 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 and had their houses too high. And there's some that, including one of mine, was on the market way too long and everything. But there's a piece of me that knows that, okay, maybe there's less available here because Tucson is surrounded by the mountains and can only expand so far, that kind of thing. And we have the constant movement related to the military, to the Air Force Base, the University of Arizona, which they'll start deciding who's going where in July, right? And those people will start looking, and our senior community. There's no question about that. But you guys have a bunch of military, and it seems like there should be constantly people coming and going.
We do, and there are. But I think because of our overall continued growth in the base population. You've talked about the fact that you're at 1 million and you go to near 2 million during certain times of the year because of the winter population. Yeah. We have more consistent, stable growth. So we have builders building and developing all over. What I didn't look at in this report is seeing how much of this is pre-owned inventory and how much of it is new inventory. Last time we did this, and I looked at that, if we took out the inventory that was new, and as well as I do, when a house is new, and if it's being listed by a builder, as soon as they break ground and start putting the slab in, that thing's on the market.
Yeah, yeah.
So the number of months we had of new inventory showed it being somewhere around 5 months. Okay. But that's because it's taken that long to build them.
Yeah, yeah.
If you looked at just the pre-owned was still below 3%, or below 3 months.
I can see that in my mind's eye just from where you live, from the length of time that you've lived in the hill country where your house is, and how the city has grown towards you, and how exiting, is it the 1604 to get on 16? Is that
Loop 1604 to 16?
And all the things around there, but even going through a little tiny Helotes and what how that's grown. I say little tiny, thinking of the one Mexican restaurant that I remember being there, and and now you do these events there, and I see the growth, and I wonder as you head up towards. So, is your house considered in Pipe Creek or in Helotes?
No, we're Pipe Creek. One of the roads that runs by us is Helotes.
Okay.
The zip code just the other side of the main road that we get used to get to our dead ends is Helotes, and it's even a different school district.
And as we come towards you, and then I think about turning where we used to go to the church you went to and everything, but even up your mountain house, those roads up there, Timber Creek, is that what it is?
Timber Creek and Mountain Creek. And
even the new homes up there in the 20 years or however long you've been in your house there. And
they get closer and closer and closer. And we have one that is close enough now we can see without any kind of binoculars or anything else to try to improve our vision. We can see the framing going up. Really? It's that close now.
Wow. It's just fascinating. So even as we think of the wide open spaces, those spaces are getting filled in. And do you have a minimum acreage out where you live that people have?
Yes. In order to have a well and a septic in Bandera County, you have to have 5 acres.
Okay.
That's kind of the minimum threshold.
Yeah. The other thing that I was looking here at the the inventory. So, I scribbled my own notes. I didn't print out a pretty graph like you did.
Yeah, the pretty graph that you can't see now because I had to change recording devices.
I know. So
because my computer is fighting me.
So when I think what it was when I first opened it up to just say, okay, 3 2s in October, there was 342 that were active. In November, there was 301. And in December, 289. So if somebody comes looking for the most popular size, they have 850 or 289 to choose from. And that's from the border, like Sierra Vista, all the way up to almost Casa Grande.
Casa Grande, right.
So that could be a 3-bedroom, 2-bath manufactured house in the country.
Yeah, I was not selective on that either. It's like, is it a townhome? Is it a garden home? As long as it was a 3-2.
Yeah. And then our average, we had said that the median was 330. Our average in December was 364. So what was your average in December? Was it a little above that 310?
The average was 349.
Okay.
So the median was 310. The average was 349.
Interesting, which shows you a little bit about that differential between the 45,000 and the 1.8 million.
Yes, it does.
Kind of thing. What do you think that this says for buyers and sellers? Like if we're really talking to people seriously about real estate.
Definitely for buyers, it gives us more negotiating room. Certainly here, I think sounds like here more so than you have.
Yeah.
Because at 5 months, we're as close to 6 than that balanced as you've ever been. So you're asking and are able to ask for a lot more from a negotiating standpoint, especially if it's been something that's closer to that average days on market. The sellers are getting a little bit itchy. From a seller standpoint, you have to really be ready. And I prep my listing clients to let them know we can expect whatever we listed at, the offer is going to come in less.
And do you think that I had a buyer that asked for 6% in closing costs to help buy down the rate and to pay some of their costs?
Right. Oh, yeah. Rate buy downs are definitely have been part of it. Now, since we're starting to drop again, like you said, is that going to be something? And if someone is properly budgeted and worked with a loan officer who's going, look, here's what you can qualify for, but we know this and this are going to go up no matter what. Your taxes and your insurance, they're going up next year. That's going to change that payment.
Yeah.
So if you're aware of that and they understood that based on where they were at and they bought correctly the first time, then they're in a pretty good position. And they don't need to look at, hey, in 3 months, let's do the refinance, even though some of our lenders are offering a 12-month no-charge refinance if the interest rate drops substantially.
Say that again, a 12-month no
charge. So the lenders
They're not
are
going to
out,
have a refi charge.
and they're not going to have the refinance charges associated with refinancing the loan if they do it with the same mortgage lender that they started with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was a selling point for the mortgage companies going, hey,
Right.
here's what we can do. We can't change the interest rate now, and you need to move, but we can look ahead and we can offer you this.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
So
Agreed. Interesting.
it is interesting to us. I'm hoping our listeners find some of this valuable. And of course, each of our markets is still regionalized. What's happening in Arizona versus what's happening here in San Antonio or up in the East Coast certainly depends on, and you need to work with an expert in that area. There's a reason we call this It Ain't Easy, because there are many, many, many moving parts.
Right.
And, we're going to have to decide when and how we're going to talk about the class action lawsuits, which nobody wants to talk about. But does Arizona have the copycat? Texas does.
This is all I know. All I know is that I am now required to have specific new documents signed and have that discussion with every buyer and every seller about commissions. And Eric, the other Eric, the young man that's helping me that is selling up between Phoenix and Tucson and some of the more rural areas, he told me that the listings the other day are at a 2%, a 1.5%, a 2.5%. There's definitely a variety of commissions in that area. So yeah, we just all have to be prepared for.
Yeah, the business, there's no question it's changing. But what I see and what I've looked at from that standpoint is how many buyers looking at an agent as a commodity are going to say, I can do it alone. And if you're on the listing side, what does that mean to you from far more work from a listing?
Yeah.
Because now you have to be there to open the doors for every single buyer who's unescorted, who can't get into the house. And that makes the listing agent a whole lot more valuable to their client than on the buyer side of things. So it'll be interesting to see how that changes. Maybe because of the length of time I've worked in San Antonio and the fact that I was hired in working for a check manufacturing company 32 years ago, I'm really, really sensitive to the security aspect of it.
Yeah.
And we get spammed, we get phished all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Emails, phone numbers, that sort of thing. I think I had 3 already this morning that I had no record of and could not trace the phone number. However, how many people are going to open their door for someone that they have no record of, no validation for, no idea whether they can actually qualify for the house, but because they're interested, you need to be there.
Yeah.
And if for some reason you're the listing agent and you can't be there, are you going to ask your sellers to leave work for someone who may or may not show up?
Yeah.
In the middle of a day, in the middle of a work day? It's those things I don't think are contemplated by the attorneys representing the parties in the class action.
That could be. Aye. All righty, brother.
All right.
You know that I forgot all my paperwork when I came to the office.
Yeah, you forgot all your paperwork. Well, we want to thank you for listening and joining us on this episode of Markets on the 8. Woo, so exciting. It's the nuts and bolts. It is what we really do. We look at this stuff on a regular basis, and it's our job. It's your realtor's job to know that information. Remember that Donna is an agent with Keller Williams Southern Arizona in Tucson, Arizona. I work with Keller Williams Heritage in San Antonio, Texas, and the surrounding hill country. If you need professional advice in those areas, reach out to us, give us a call. All of our contact information is always in the show notes on every single one of our episodes, wherever you listen to our podcast. If you need assistance around the country or around the globe, we have a network of professional real estate agents that we can connect you with. It's our job to help you find the perfect home to build your wonderful life.
And
And until next time, I'm Eric.
And I'm Donna.
And we are Real
Siblings. Thanks all.
Every time I think about the places I have known, I realize that times have changed. So I'll do what I can to make this house into a home. Yeah. Oh.
Hi, I'm Annabelle. Isabel, and I want to thank you for investing your valuable time in listening to Real Sibling, It Ain't Easy. I hope you found this episode informative and enjoyable. There are several ways you can support this podcast with my Grandpa Eric and Aunt Grandma. Please take the time to like, follow, and subscribe. Additionally, leave them a 5-star rating along with a review on your preferred podcast platform. The final thing I would ask is that you recommend this podcast to a friend, a family member, or an associate. Your engagement is critical to their ongoing success, and they look forward to connecting. Check out the show notes Grandpa put together with their contact information, including emails, phone numbers, and website. And remember, the Real Siblings look forward to hearing from you.